I'd like to read from Yogananda's Whispers from Eternity. That's fine. And this is entitled, I Was Made for Thee. I was made for thee alone. I was made for dropping flowers of devotion gently at thy feet on the altar of the morning. My hands were made to serve thee willingly, to remain folded in adoration, waiting for thy coming, and when thou comest, to bathe thy feet with my tears. My voice was made to sing thy glory. My feet were made to seek thy temples everywhere. My eyes were made a chalice to hold thy burning love and the wisdom falling from thy nature's hands. My ears were made to catch the music of thy footsteps, echoing through the halls of space, and to hear thy divine melodies flowing through all heart tracks of devotion. My lips were made to breathe forth thy praises and thine intoxicating inspirations. My love was made to throw incandescent searchlight flames, to find thee hidden in the forest of my desires. My heart was made to respond to thy call alone. My soul was made to be the channel through which thy love might flow uninterruptedly into all thirsty souls. Welcome to all of you, and it's a great joy, truly, for us to be here and visiting with you over this weekend. I'll share a little bit, and then Ananta will as well. These questions, which formed the title of the reading today, if God knows everything, why ask anything? If God has everything, why give him anything? It's possible these questions could be those of a genuine curiosity or innocence, perhaps the questions of a child, of someone new to the spiritual path and thinking of an expanded reality that possesses consciousness, a divine consciousness. But these words also, and more likely, betray a consciousness of separateness, of not understanding the whole. Indeed, devotees, those on the spiritual path, seasoned devotees, hold questions of a similar nature sometimes. In that thought of separateness, we think, well, God has so many children to look after. Surely my troubles aren't worth his gaze, or other people are going through stuff so much more difficult than myself. God doesn't have time for me. God's not interested in my reality, this kind of thing. I'm not meditating enough. And so even people on the spiritual path for some time, decades, will be plagued by these thoughts of limitation. They're paralyzing. They're paralyzing. And they really, to really see through them and get beyond them, we have to internalize our awareness and experience of the divine. And that's why this prayer, the Lord's Prayer, is given in this reading to bring our attention to that awareness, that, to be in dialogue, to be in relationship with the divine. Swami Kriyananda, the founder of Ananda, always, as long as I knew him, I mean, we'd have satsangs with him, this kind of thing. He would always have an opening for people to ask questions. But toward the end of his life, in the latter years, even the last 10 years or so, addressing so many new audiences in India and Europe, it was all, he was traveling, lecturing, all of this. And so that became, in large part, the venue, if you will, questions and answers, and just a chance for everybody to ask whatever was in their mind or in their heart. And it never ceased to amaze me, to many of us who followed, his talks and lectures, how graciously, how appropriately, and how with such humility he would answer people's questions as though hearing them for the first time. And oftentimes, perhaps as seasoned devotees, we would think, a basic question about how to meditate or how to quiet your mind or how to be still or how to focus or what does living the spiritual life mean? Sometimes, just to hear him answer those questions again, as though for the first time, it was really captivating and wondrous, because it showed a nature that was so committed to every single person, no matter who they were, where they came from, whether they'd just walked in the door or been around for a long time. And I was thinking about that and just, God is that way. God, if Swamiji, how much greater that divine reality, that divine expression that is very interested in us, very interested in what might seem so mundane, so familiar. Here we go again. And I've got this same question, Lord, why is this happening? And such patience, such interest, very interested in our lives. And we have to know that. We have to be secure in that. No problem, no trouble, no difficulty, no challenge is too small, too little. I remember one time going through probably one of the greater challenges in my life, and I'm not the kind of person, when Swamiji was around, I just didn't go knocking on the door on a regular basis and here it is, what do I do, Certainly about the colony when we were in Sacramento and working with that, there were questions and concerns, this kind of thing. But about my personal stuff, I thought about it a lot before I knocked on that door, because I knew there was a great part that had to be internalized in me and worked out to have that kind of communication. But this one time, it was pretty supreme, and I just thought, gotta do it. Pick up the phone. At that time, Swamiji was in Italy, and I can't remember what time of day it was, but it was of necessity. Right now, it doesn't matter. I'm calling. And I said, Swamiji, I need to talk to you. I just need to tell you all that's going on. I need to have your feedback now. And he just said, sometimes we have to talk about things. It was so sweet. And, again, God is just waiting for us to have a voice, to just say what needs to be said, to be in communication on whatever the situation is, whatever the instance is. It is so all important. And of course he's interested. Of course he wants to know. Swamiji, one time when he was in India, he was meditating there at a temple, and he frequented there day after day after day. And finally the local pujari, the priest, came up to him and said, what are you praying for? You come here every day. You spend a lot of time here. Most people file in, file out. And what are you praying for? And he said, I'm praying to love God more deeply. And the man was very touched and even a little bit surprised. He said, people come, they pray for job, they pray for family, they pray for health, they pray for all manner of things. Very few people come and pray to love God more deeply. Somewhat recently was going through a personal health challenge that had kind of been wandering around with me for long enough. I was getting kind of bored. And again, I don't commonly pray, Lord, make me well and this kind of thing. So unless I can, move it into a context, as Swamiji has oftentimes guided us, put it in the bigger picture, put it in God's will. Of course, it's fine to pray for your health. We want to serve this path. We want to serve the masters. We need these bodily temples to be functioning and right, but always put it in the context of divine will. And this prayer came to my mind, and it was, Master, help me to receive what I need to know to be well in thee. Assuming that there is some part of it, that I needed to participate in, cooperate with, and make happen to let this healing process occur. And so, help me to receive what I need to know to be well in thee. But still, it still had me in there, a little bit of me in there. But I prayed, and I just kept focusing on Master, focusing on Divine Mother. And about 3 or 4 times into it, it just became, help me to receive what I need to know to love you more deeply. And I thought, aha, I can do that. That's where real healing power is in loving God. That's where the power of prayer is. That's where the power of the spiritual path is. It's in loving God, not thinking of God as distant, disinterested in our little reality, our little job, our family, our particular need, but knowing very much that he is interested, that it's all about communication, and that it's all about sharing and exchanging love. A beautiful part in the autobiography, Yogananda talks about his visit, and he would go off, and Master Mahashai was a great saint, and he was a friend, a divine friend, and Yogananda loved to be in his company. And one day, because Master Mahashai was always in the company of Divine Mother, and Yogananda could feel that and sense that, and Yogananda couldn't stand a moment longer that he didn't know that Divine Mother loved him, or didn't know in that moment, had to know yet again, Divine Mother, do you love me? Are you with me? Does what I'm doing have reality in you, or am I just blindly shooting around, living out karma and living out this life in this maya, in this delusion? So he begged Master Mahashai, please, please intercede for me. Tell the Divine Mother that I have got to know that she loves me. And Master Mahashai, after being pestered, as he was by Yogananda, he said he was just groveling on the floor, crying, whining, the little naughty baby, Divine Mother, I've got to know now. And he said, fine, you go home and you pray to Divine Mother tonight. And in that meditation, she appeared to Yogananda, and she said, always have I loved you, ever shall I love you. But we need to keep hearing that. We need to know it. This world is so otherwise sometimes that we just have to know again, okay, you love me, but do you love me now? Do you love me even in this? Do you love me, when I can't figure it out? Do you love me when I get mad and when I get angry and I'm a really poor sport? Do you still love me? And it's so important. Recently we had a program at the village. It was at the Expanding Light, and sometimes I'll do a program there. And it was how to be a channel of divine grace. And Ramesha, who is our music ministry person, we've lost David to you. I know he was yours, and you loaned him, but we feel that we have lost him, and Madhavi, and Caitlin, and there's a little bit of a hole there. But we have Ramesha, Divine Mother sent Ramesha and Bhagavati, and so he was doing the program that David has done for us, and how to use your voice as a channel of divine grace. And it was so simple what he did. He had people who sang and didn't sing and were horrified that they might have to use their voice in a singing fashion. But he had us all facing the altar, and he had us sing to the masters. And I mean, just so basic, so obvious. I mean, that's what we want to do as choir and chanting, is think of God, try to be a channel of that. But here we were, and I was there, and we were singing to the masters, and we were singing with love and devotion in our hearts to, we could pick any of, our line, all of them, whatever. And it was amazing how quickly people experience the change in their voice, the change in their heart. Just that simple awareness, we take it for granted sometimes. So when we come here in prayer, when we come to meditate, when we're in our home, doing our spiritual practice, again, God is so interested, so right there. It's just a question of making that connection in the heart and singing, in this case, praying, praying to the masters, praying to that highest reality within our own being. And immediately, the conversation starts. The conversation continues. We were filming this last summer, the movie The Answer, at the Village. And this is one of the 3 that Swami Kriyananda wrote. It is in large part about his life and experiences with Yogananda. And I had one little part in the movie. My acting career seems to always surface with 1 word or 2 words or half a line, It's really rather comical. I think I played the part of Kanta one year in the Jewel and the Lotus, which is a fabulous play that Swamiji has written. And oftentimes I was saying to my husband, Ramesh, yes, but, or yes, dear, or it was a crucial part in a manner of speaking. But anyway, that's the sum total of my acting career. So I had the 1 or 2 lines in The Answer, but it was a very important part, and they kept telling me it was the most important part in the play, and I can see that on a certain level, but it was a bit daunting even with the 1 or 2 lines, because it was the part of a woman named Ophelia, and Ophelia is Irene Schulman's, for those of you who know her mother. And Irene many years ago had a experience at Ananda village of being there with her, her family who lives there. And essentially the long and the short of it is, Master appeared to her. And she's a very devout Catholic, very involved in her congregation church, and even now in her late 70s, 80s, or I think she's serving in that ministry, continues to. And at the behest of the producer, we went down to talk with her, and her experience is one she's only shared with, 2 other people. Now it was us, and it was going to be the 3rd. It was something very close, just couldn't really talk about. But the long and the short of it is, there were 2 words. When Master appeared to her, she said, "Do you come here often? Do you come here often?" 5 words. And Master said, "I'm always here." And so these were my lines. And I had to say them to Yogananda. I had to say them to the person who was acting as Yogananda. Well, I have to say I was so embarrassed, and I'm embarrassed talking about it, but here's Yogananda standing before me. I'm this person who's had this incredible experience, and I just felt like I didn't do it right. I just didn't have the devotion. I mean, here's Master right in front of me, but I was so stuck in the outward element. Master appears to me, here's this person in this orange robe, and I'm kind of tongue-tied. And I was thinking about that the other day, and the difference is I was identifying with the play. I was identifying with the role. I was thinking of God, Master as separate from myself, someone who has appeared here in body and form, instead of like Ophelia, who was just, it was so natural to her. Oh, here's Master. Do you come here often? I mean, just so conversational. God is never distant. God is never disinterested. God is always there. And she could just naturally be with him. And that's what prayer is about. That's what being close to God is about, harmonizing our human nature with that divine nature, getting into that consciousness first, singing acknowledging, praying, talking, silently communing, and then the flow is natural. And we realize that God has always been there. God is always there. God will always be here.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank all of you for coming. It's a joy to see you all. And those of you who are new, welcome. And we're glad you could join us. I'd just like to talk about one aspect of what Maria was talking about, and that's the closeness that we need with God to make our prayer useful and effective. And there's a line that we read every week, and Omkara read it this morning. It's the first line of the reading every week. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. And the reality of it is one, you have a deathless self. That's good. Two is that truth is one and eternal. Everything is a part of God. And if we can pray more from the point of view, as Maria was saying, of God, and less from the point of view of being even His children, it's a good start, and Our Father is a good prayer because it puts us close to our Heavenly Father. But if we can even go beyond that and be one with the Father, because if you look at the world like God looks at the world, it'll help you in your prayers. We have this problem, and things are happening to us, and we don't know why. And as Maria was saying, we get into this I and thou relationship. But God is everything. So God doesn't have to know something. God is everything. There's nothing to know. When we pick up an object or a situation, we analyze it and we think about it and we Google it and all those sorts of things. God doesn't Google anything. God is Google. God is everything. He knows everything. He doesn't have to go do searches for everything. He is everything. And He's the situation, and He's the people, and He's the people that are really pulling your chain. He's them and He's you at the same time. And He understands it because God is permeating the Maya. He is all-pervading, omnipresent. Put yourself in that place when you pray and be everything. Be the solution is always in the heart of it. And see the problem from the point of view of God and oneness. There's a line in the poem that Paramahansa Yogananda wrote called Samadhi. Samadhi is a poem in which Paramahansa Yogananda described his experience of oneness with God. But in that, Samadhi is a description of God's consciousness. And Paramahansa Yogananda wrote in the poem, knowing, knower, known as one. This is the consciousness of God. And this is the consciousness that we attain when we attain Samadhi. This is the consciousness that we attain when we attain masterhood. This is the consciousness that we attain in deep meditation. That the knower and the known is one. The knower, knowing, known, the process of knowing is also one. If you put yourself in that consciousness and meditate on that and feel that you are that, it totally changes your prayer. Because instead of praying for your ego and your point of view to win out, and why don't they apologize, and how dare she say that to me, and all that stuff, knowing, knower, known as one, you are her. And you just said something that was entirely wrong. And that hurts. It hurts you. It hurts her. You are her. So you become in that consciousness one with it. Towards the end of his life, Jyotish, the spiritual director of Ananda, asked Swami Kriyananda, Swami, what's the best prayer? How do you pray? And Swami said to Jyotish, I rarely pray in words anymore. And Jyotish thought about that and shared that with us. And that's knowing, knower, known as one. There's nothing to pray about because the Father already knows what it is you need before you ask Him. But yet we talk to God so that we can get closer to God, so that we can merge with God. Because the fact is, you're a part of God. You're divine. You have no past, present, future, no more for you, for me. You're infinite. And you are infinite beauty and infinite kindness and infinite love. And then the prayer, what is there to say? Maybe Om, but other than that, not much. Because you are much more than the ego. The ego wants to know everything. Existence, knowledge, bliss is God. You have all knowledge within yourself. It's interesting to me, I've been with Ananda for a long, long time, 40 years almost. I cannot think of more than maybe 2 people who don't like the unity of all religions. God is the Father of all the people. I can't think of hardly anyone that I've ever met. Why is that? Because everyone knows that God is good. Allah Akbar. Everyone knows that the Buddha is the compassionate one. And everyone knows, or should know, that they're the Buddha, that they have that compassion. So when we go with God and pray with that and feel that love inside of yourself, not as even something that has to come to you, because you are love. And the love that you feel for little things, like your children, like the flowers, like these beautiful trees that are populating our city today, like the sunshine and the rain, the more you feel that love, you realize you are that love. And that feeling is native to you and to everyone. Every child of God is a love of God. And they're close to God. But unfortunately, they don't pray the Lord's Prayer and they forget to talk to God and to feel close to God and to merge with God, knowing, knower, known as one. So practice that. Practice. Master said, read the poem Samadhi every day. But the other part he said was, and imagine yourself in that state. When you read the poem Samadhi, it's in the book Autobiography of a Yogi, feel that the veils of light and shade are gone, that the knowing, knower, known as one, and feel a tranquil, unbroken thrill, eternally living ever new peace, ever new joy, ever new love. That's the prayer, and that's where the prayer takes us. You know, when we serve as ministers, in case you don't know, we don't know all the answers to everything that people come to us with. But Master knows all the answers. So what we do is we sit with people that need to talk. And as Swami said, there are times when you need to talk because the Maya's got you all caught and you don't see the doorway out of this. So you come to a minister and we ask, Master, what is there to say? Where's the light here? So it's good to talk. It's good to have song. It's good to come together in prayer. But in the last analysis, you already know inside of yourself all these truths. Knowing, knower, known as one. Everything that you need to know is within the point between the eyebrows in that light. And like Kriyananda, eventually, you don't need to pray in words. But as long as you do, pray in words. Kriyananda wrote a lot of prayers before he got to the point where he didn't want to say any more prayers in words. What did he have, 150 books? Something like that. He wrote a lot of books. But they're prayers, and there's a dialogue with the Divine Mother. But as you feel yourself a part of the Divine Mother, then together you just beam that joy to the world. Thank you all.